So even after watching this movie, I don't really know why it's actually called Midnight Special, but let's just leave it at that. So Midnight Special is a pretty interesting movie. It's basically about this kid, this 8-year-old killed his father and his father's friend, and they're on the run from the government and this crazy religious cult. So the movie jumps in directly to, you know, them being on the run and trying to get to this specific place. But you don't actually know specifically why this is going on, why they're chasing after this kid, and what is the significance of the place they're going to. Like, you don't really understand fully the situation when the movie first starts off, but it does a pretty good job of slowly pulling you into it by showing you, like, you know, what's so significant about this kid. And I gotta say that the opening shot and the opening few minutes, the first few minutes of this movie is really good. So first of all, I gotta say that from a technical standpoint, this movie is very, very well done. It was very well directed. It had some really great shots, great cinematography, great like feel to it. It was sort of like, it had this like 70s, 80s kind of vibe, even though I'm not entirely sure what time period the movie is actually set in. But it does feel very late 70s, early 80s kind of feel. The acting is great. There's Micheal Shannon, who plays the father of the kid. Kirsten Dunst is in this as well, but I felt that her character is a bit weaker than Micheal Shannon. And of course we have Kylo Ren as well in this movie. So Kylo Ren / Adam Driver plays like this NSA analyst who's like in charge of figuring out where the kid and his father are going to. But honestly, he serves as sort of like the person that moves the story along. But going back to the technical aspect, the other thing I want to talk about is the soundtrack. So Midnight Special is probably one of those movies that really has a soundtrack which captures, you know, your attention. It's got this kind of like creepy sci-fi theme to it, and overall the soundtrack is definitely something that should be mentioned and highlighted because it was very well done. And although this movie does start off pretty strong and does manage to keep your interest throughout the whole most of the film, it does start to taper off towards the end, and that is where the main problem of this movie is. Came to a point where I looked at my watch and I knew there was only roughly about 15 minutes left, and I still had like a bunch of questions about, you know, what is actually going on, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to get those answers. And sure enough, I was right, because the ending of this movie is very like unsatisfying, at least for me and my friends. It's kind of like Lost in the sense that they built up so much mystery and like these plot points and storylines, but at the end they're like, okay, we don't actually have a way to resolve everything, so let's just throw something else completely different. And I felt that it kind of felt like that for Midnight Special. Like, sure, you get answers to some of your questions, but at the end of the movie, I feel like it leaves you with more questions than answers. Like, a lot of things weren't really explained. So in that sense, even though they built a lot of interest and tension throughout the movie, the payoff at the end was not very satisfying. The story definitely kept my attention. I haven't quite seen anything like it before. But again, the payoff was quite disappointing. So it kind of operates under the assumption that you sort of know what is going on just because you've seen bits and pieces of it here and there, but it doesn't quite, you know, paint the whole picture out. Now, I'm not saying I wanted the movie to spoon feed me everything, like every single detail of it, but again, this is one of those movies that I think doesn't tell enough and doesn't show enough for us to really piece together the story. For example, 10 Cloverfield Lane did a very good job of showing us bits and pieces for us to actually, you know, put the picture back together on our own. But for Midnight Special, it feels like the puzzle pieces are just not there. You can look under the rug, under the table, but they're not there because they don't exist, because the puzzle box didn't come with as many pieces as it was advertised. Okay, that's probably a bad analogy, but you get the point. Regardless, I did feel that this was still a very interesting movie, and I'm gonna say you should definitely at least stream this, but of course be aware of what you're getting into. This is not a movie for everyone, and I can tell that some people might actually find it boring because it does build up quite slowly, even though it is interesting. So check this out if you feel like watching a slow burning mystery kind of movie which doesn't quite give you all the answers at the end. But anyway guys, those are my thoughts on Midnight Special. If you've seen it, I want to know what you think about it. So leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe for even more reviews, and I'll see you guys next time. Five whole hours and then I woke up.